Supernatural Season 9, Episode 3, titled I'm No Angel. This episode was obviously a cast based episode. It was split up, of course, between the brothers and, Cass's adventure as a human. And, it ended with them finding Cass, which was really cool, but, there's a great twist at the end. It was great that it was a twist, and, it was really unexpected, but it was also sad. So, I'll get to that, of course, towards the end. But the episode overall I thought was really good. It added, like the Reapers are kind of just like guns for hire now, and apparently they can possess people. It seems, I don't know if they're actually possessing people or if they were just able to walk around. But obviously, in the end, she possessed, or the one Reaper did possess the woman. But I didn't know that Reapers could do that just like angels could. But it was really interesting to see that. And Sam and Dean are being followed by the one Reaper pretty much the whole episode. And naturally they knew he was falling behind them, so they got him. But the other Reaper, she randomly came across Cass because with him being human, he's had all these problems. He was in a shelter for men, and trying to find food and water and clothes, all that stuff. And all of these angels are being sort of brought together against him by Naomi's, like, her understudy Bartholomew. So we have a new angel-based villain, which is kind of cool, and I like his character. He seems like the calm character, and obviously he'll be a lot more, you know, hands-on compared to Naomi because she was obviously up in heaven, and with everyone being cast down to earth, certain things have to be done. So I feel like he'll be more hands-on towards the end of the season, but for now he's still pretty much just gathering everyone together and controlling them. And how he's doing it is actually pretty genius on his part, and that's by using a guy who has like a heavenly podcast to basically tell people, you know, if angels come knocking, pretty much just say, I accept, and just let them in. And it was really interesting when he let the one angel go into, I guess, like the preacher's, assistant or whatever. And then she blew up because she wasn't actually worthy. But he just let it happen anyway. And, we actually got to see Angel smoke, and it's like light blue and nice and clean, and, compared to demon smoke. But, she blew up. And so we have the preacher. I'm sure he'll be coming back throughout this season. But Bartholomew, I think, is a pretty interesting villain. For now, we haven't had much because it's his introduction, but I think he'll be pretty interesting for the rest of the season. And he's pretty much doing whatever he can to get to Cass, and he hires the Reapers in to track him down because the Angels can't do anything, and they just in the beginning of the episode they just kill like the priest and the kid, which I thought was really weird. Like, they were trying to get information and they didn't get it, and so they just like killed them. And I'm sure they did that because the Angels figured something out, or because they did something that let them know we're dealing with angels, so they had to kill the two. But Cass is out on his own trying to figure out how does he survive. Dealing with food. He ran out of food, he mentioned, and he's going through the trash before he's found by the woman. And he ends up with her, and it was really funny that they ended up sleeping together. When you find out that she was possessed the whole time, and the Reaper's like, she did that because she's like, I have certain liberties for executive decisions, or with executive decisions. So I thought that was funny. But he's attracted to her, and like when he was walking in the street and looking at the hot dog because he was hungry, and then he went to get a spell basically tattooed on him so he could be warded from the angels. I thought that was really interesting. He had to make a big decision, and he chose to be warded because obviously being hungry is a lot easier than being dead. So that made sense. But he was looking around at everyone, and it was funny how he just looked at the woman's chest when she walked past him. I just thought that was really funny. But I think it's just like him being human. Certain things happen in his head. Like, he's like a guy, so he stared at her. But it was really cool to see him have to deal with being human, and it really highlights a serious issue of homelessness and stuff, or at least the issues of homelessness. And his struggles going through, and then he of course deals with the angel that finds him on the bus. and the angel was really surprised that he was human after he cut him, of course. And then, Cass just stabbed the guy and killed him, and I thought that was so easy for Cass, but he does end up getting captured, and Sam and Dean searching for him left and right, trying to get some leads because he's not contacting them, so they don't know what to do, and they pretty much run out of ideas. So Dean calls on Ezekiel for help, and of course he does help him out. So they find Cass, save Cass, and then at the end, they're back home. They're laughing it up because Cass had sex, and then Ezekiel takes over Sam again, and he says, if he stays here, I have to leave. And something he said that was interesting is that if he stays here, it was basically like I'll be in trouble. So I'm very curious. Maybe him and Ezekiel and Bartholomew have some sort of relationship because any angel that ends up getting named, like as I mentioned before, is obviously really important in the show. So there's something with him being on Cass's side pretty much, and there's probably something outside of that that makes him so scared of Cass being um, in their base. And something he said that was really interesting is the fact that him being killed destroyed the spell. So I thought, with him being brought back, it seemed like it would be very simple. And, it does kind of make sense. He died, and even though his flesh was returned, the spell was, it kind of evaporated pretty much. Like he died, so the spell was released. And even though his flesh came back, you'd have to basically redo the spell again. So he'd have to get tattooed twice in order for him to be warded again. But how it ended was really interesting, and Dean just walks up to him and says, "You can't stay here," and it really shows. I mean, obviously, throughout the whole series, Dean has always said, it's always Sam. Sam's number one, and then it's Cass right after that, or it would be Bobby, but Bobby passed away, so it's Cass right after that, and we got to see that at the end. Like I can't let my little brother be killed. I can't let Ezekiel leave his body because he's scared to protect Cass. Like as much as I care about Cass, which he obviously does because he was about to cry when he saw that he was dead, and then of course Ezekiel healed him. But as much as he cares about Cass, it's always Sam first. So who knows how that's gonna play out and how they're gonna end up protecting him. And obviously the main focus of next week's episode, based off of the preview, is focusing on like the Wizard of Oz pretty much being a real location and the witch coming, to our world and stuff like that. So it kind of sucks that they aren't gonna focus, on figuring out, where things go with Cass, because I think most people would be a lot more interested in that rather than a side story. And I don't think it'll be filler, and it's mostly because Crowley is in it. So hopefully whatever they do, and I'm sure they'll explain it at least in the first couple of minutes, they'll do like a temporary solution where he's off somewhere else, or maybe he's still in the base with it having all these sigils and all this stuff all over the place. There has to be somewhere he can go to at least be temporarily warded from angels, or if not warded, just basically sort of in a different realm as far as the angels can see. But with Crowley being in next week's episode, I do hope it. I kind of want him to escape, because I feel like if he does, that'll really like just send this show into like some crazy path, because he'll have to go up against Abaddon, and they'll be warring against each other, and then of course the angels and versus Cass and Sam and Dean. Excuse me. Excuse me. But I think that'll be really good for the show, and regardless of what happens with Crowley in it, it'll at least be really funny, and we'll probably get more of him having to deal with the fact that he almost completely turned human. So we'll hopefully get some of that next week's episode. But this one, I definitely enjoyed it. I always love episodes with Cass, and everyone he talked to pretty much he would say weird stuff, because he's dealing with being human, talking about, do you ever tire of urinating and I never had to deal with sleep and stuff like that. And in the beginning, when he was like just putting toothpaste in his mouth, I thought that was really funny too, of course. But overall, that was a really good episode. Sort of a sad ending because it seemed like it was just gonna be great. Cass is with the guys, and then it was just gonna be Cass, Sam, and Dean, kind of like it was. I want to say that was 2 seasons ago, but they only did it for a little while anyway. But I thought that was kind of going to be the point of this season where Cass was human and he really would learn how to be one of the guys and he'd be with them and help them out and stuff and they figure out how to get him his grace back pretty much. And a little hint they gave us, of course, is that if Cass was the key to casting the angels out, he could also be the key to rectifying the problem. So who knows? That might come in. Metatron might come back. I highly doubt he will. I feel like, if Metatron came down, he'd be like just swarmed in a millisecond. But I'm sure we're gonna get something where Cass is the key to sending all the angels back, and who knows how that'll play out. So I don't know. We'll see. But love the episode. So comment below. Let me know what you thought. Favorite parts, least favorite parts. Are you excited for Bartholomew? Like, do you think he's gonna be a pretty good villain? And I guess as far as Ezekiel and Sam goes, how long do you think it'll be before we get to see Ezekiel basically, leave Sam and be an angel again on his own? Because I feel like once he leaves Sam, he's gonna stay in, and then he'll try to help Cass. But comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.